I think that like now is these success stories that are coming out of the period that we're living in right now is what's going to end up changing the industry.
Fundraising is something that I've sort of experienced to be sort of a losing, it's like a losing conversation because there's no upside in us complaining about the reality of like what it looks like. It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people that have set out to like quote solve it, but the data just continues to get worse. And it's like just a negligible amount of money that goes into female funded businesses, especially women of color. They essentially receive net funding. And it is all the difference in the world. So a lot of the businesses that have had these like quote successful exits, they weren't built for longevity. They had so much money poured into them, male founded, didn't have any sort of vision. And lo and behold, now they like are tanking, you know? But of course we all know about them. They had, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah. The optimist in me says that like now is when the change starts to happen because you have this class of founders who have been underfunded, who have been maybe ignored by the industry, who have built big, profitable businesses, and they've figured out the game without having all of that access to capital, and in some ways have become better for it.
Agreed.
I totally agree.
I agree with that
And
too.
I think that like now is these success stories that are coming out of the period that we're living in right now is what's going to end up changing the industry.
And I think we know, like in crisis, cream rises to the top.
Yes.
And women are really good entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And we have been taught how to build smart, scrappy businesses because we have to, and the world has asked that of us. And I think that if we can all keep our cool and stay focused and use each other, like now's the time.
I agree with that. Yeah, it's an exciting time for women in general. I think women are standing up, showing up in a really important and meaningful way. And I think that the biggest gift you can give me is to not believe in my ability to you know, win.
Totally. And
Like, let me prove you wrong.
Correct.
And I also think the solution to your point earlier is this is when relationships between female founders and between mentors become so critically important.
Yeah.
I remember, every time we've raised a round, I've called you and said, hey, we're about to raise. What do you think? Do you have any ideas?
Yeah.
And I think when we started the business, we've recognized how sort of pay it forward the community is, especially of all founders in New York. And we try to do that whenever we meet a young entrepreneur because people did that for us.
Yeah.
And so I think that's when, you know, whenever we can sort of step in and take a coffee, so many people have done that for us.
Yeah, and I want to flag something you said earlier about just fundraising because I do think women that are setting out to start businesses have to recognize that those are fraught conversations. I've heard so many female founders that are told, like, when are you hiring a CEO for like creative founders that are already having business success? And like business on paper is like a slam dunk, and yet they still get pushback. And the other thing is, I think in our shoes, we're able to give new founders a gift in that we can offer like our belief in their idea. And I've recognized, for me at least, if I can have one person I respect believe in what I'm building, that's all that it takes, because it is a really challenging environment. And so and then I am so grateful for the community that we have. I actually got to see Carrie Faraday this morning from Faraday, and now seeing you also, like, it's a small community of us, but it's so fulfilling, especially at a time where
fun.
You know, we're all trying to navigate this tariff situation, and we've made it this far.
And maybe one day we'll have the capital to kind of put back into businesses that we believe in. But in the meantime, we can also connect people to capital, right? And so, like, opening up your network goes a really long way. And I mean, that's why we're here.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also think, like, the reality is in our businesses, they can never be overnight. So no matter how much money you put into a consumer-facing business in either of our categories, it really is about time, like investing time to really hone what you're building and to cultivate that relationship with your community and your consumer. That's what sets you up for the long haul.
Great brands take time. Yeah.
They take decades.
They're built with intention and thought, and they're methodical.